guess that's what the underside of a ZF 8HP looks like. Basically at this point the reinstallation is going to be the opposite of everything that we had just done, and the filling process of this is going to be another bitch part. That is how you remove the pan on a ZF 8HP in a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Just reverse the removal of the pan to get it back up and installed, and then you just fill it from the side using that fill hole right here.
Round 2.
Alright, so right here you're going to want to take a rag, clean around the surface area where the gasket of the pan is going to lead up to the bottom side of the transmission. Just clean it up, make sure you get all the goop, oil and everything that's left over from when it's separated. Then you grab your pan, knead it up at the bottom side. This is where the pickup line needs to get kind of coaxed into position. Then you just kind of wiggle it, get it into position. Try to perform a delicate balancing act of holding it up with one hand and then fighting around the floor, trying to grab the bolt that you need. Try to have yourself the bolt in hand before you get this, so you're not mucking around like a fool with me. And then just hand thread it in. And you just hand thread in the rest of the bolts. I think there's 13 of them. And then you go to town with the screwdriver, wrench, whatever you want to use to fasten these things. When you're installing the bolts, it doesn't really matter in which order you install them. It's mostly important when you start to torque everything down. I've got a chart, or a sheet that explains, at which bolt you should start with first, and then torque it down. So I'm going to put that up on the screen somewhere, right there. Okay, so you'll want to torque that down to 89 inch-pounds or 10 newton-meters. So once you have them all torqued down, then it's pretty much ready to be filled.
So the technique I'm using right now is to use the spray bottle, just literally pour all of the gear oil, the transmission oil into here, then you pressurize it, and then it's just a matter of sticking the nozzle right into the transmission and letting the pressure do the work. It's honestly the best way to end up filling anything that you have to fill from underneath the car. So have fun, enjoy watching me fill this. This, by the way, smells awful. If you can't tell, the color is green. Typically your normal transmission fluid is red. So this really is special stuff, and it's made specifically by ZF, made for this transmission. getting to the point now where this is 1 gallon or 4 quarts. Just twist it on and you just pressurize it until you start to hear it hiss. When it hisses, that basically indicates that it's pressurized. Now we go and fill it.
Day.
Alright, so today's a new day. I ran into issues filling it. Where's my oil? Oil is set aside. So as I was filling it yesterday, basically what happened was I was filling it and it kept draining out. So that was telling me that it was full. So the way that I had it was, well, I thought it was even, but I think I had it more like elevated in the front. So therefore the drain hole was a little bit further back. So it was starting to get a little late. I got tired. So I just kind of put it away for the night. Now I'm back at it. You can see that if I go over to the front, see how it's lopsided like that. I have the filling side of the transmission a little bit higher up because it's supposed to take 8 quarts to go into the transmission, but I only got like maybe 4 or 5. So that was telling me that it wasn't really completely full. Or I'm sorry, it wasn't elevated correctly. I even went through the procedure with the start the engine, let it warm up to temperature. It has to be a minimum of 86. So I was definitely within that range. Other things, so the procedure, put it into drive with the brake on, 5 seconds, reverse, 5 seconds, or is it the other way around? Reverse first, drive, and you hold the brake, and then you put it into second gear, bring the RPMs up to 2000, and you hold it there for 5 seconds. And then apply the brakes, put it in neutral, 5 seconds, and then you park it. I did that. And during that time, I had kept filling it, and I got it up to the roughly 5 quarts. So here I am. That's my backstory. I am going to try and continue to fill it, and I'll take you along that journey.
Come with me if you want to live.
Crap. Alright, so I'm inside the Jeep. It's running. You can see that my temperature says 86. The directions say using a scan tool, blah blah blah, make sure the temperature is below 86. Then you disable ESC, remove the fill plug. So add fluid till it trickles from the opening. I did that already because I had that set up last night. Install the fill plug, did that. Lower the vehicle. Okay, so I'm in it with the brakes applied. Place the transmission in reverse and hold for 5 seconds. Then place the transmission in drive and hold for 5 seconds. Release the brake, slowly accelerate to second gear, and hold for 5 seconds. Apply the brakes, place the transmission in neutral. Raise the engine speed to 2000 RPM for 5 seconds. Return the engine to idle and place the transmission in park. That's the procedure to pump the fluid through the whole system, and then you go back underneath, fill the plug, allow excess to drain from, fill a hole, add fluid as necessary, and then you're pretty much done at that point. So I'm hoping that, you know, I've got this, you know, once I go through this procedure again, that I have all the fluid into the system. Now, I did notice yesterday my air suspension was, it had through a code. I don't know if it's, where is it? I don't know if it's going to show up here. No, but we'll take a look at the what the computer says once I get all the fluid all set up. So let's do this. Okay, so we start off reverse for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drive for 5 seconds with the brake on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in second gear, 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Neutral. Raise the RPM up. 2000 RPM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that's it. So get back underneath, check the fill. Its temperature is between 89, or sorry, it's So after that procedure, return the engine, place in park. A full transmission will have fluid at the fill hole with the transmission between 86 degrees and 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Do not overfill. So we'll give it a shot. Gonna go underneath, take a look.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
So the exhaust is really hot. Obviously, it's been running for several minutes now.
Of course, you can see right here, that is just after the cat on the passenger side. So that's probably a nice smoking several hundred degrees.
Okay, hopefully there's no drain. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, gross. Okay. So, there you go. Well, it's not draining out, so that's good at least. Somebody moved my towels on me. Okay. Now we take my pump. Pump. Pressurizing the canister. Just kind of work it in there. And then just press the button. I can feel it filling there were some air bubbles that went through and I was able to feel it. I'll admit that I'm skeptical that I'm actually going to be able to fill it the rest of the way. Yep, there it is. It's coming out. So that's supposedly the procedure. So on a side note, I noticed yesterday when I was working on this, that in here, right there in the center of the screen, that right there is the transmission mount. I noticed that that was a little crusty looking. Yeah, there you go. A little crusty. And these bolts, you can see they're a little, you can see that they're looking a little rusty and crusty. So that looks like it's something that I need to replace. I can do that later on. So we'll see. That's it. I'm gonna have to button everything up, take it for a ride, and see how it feels. But so this right here is the how much I've filled. So where's the line? How much I've filled. Here was the pressure. So, I'm sure if you can see it. This line right here is half gallon, or it is 1.9 quarts. Or liters, 1.9 liters. Up here is 1 gallon and 3.8 liters. So obviously one of those containers, those bottles, is 1 quart. 4 quarts equals a gallon. So I'm like 6 quart, no, that's half, so that's 1 quart. So I've done 1 full and then this much. Because this would be 6 quarts and then 7 and 8. I am scratching my head trying to figure out why it's not taking any more. But maybe that's just the way it is. Maybe I did something wrong, but I followed everything from all the video, another video that I had seen talking about this transmission. And then of course I have the service manual, and following those steps everything looks to be fine. So that's it. I think I got it all. I think we're all done here. Alright, so I've got AppCard Diag CA. This allows me to pull up a whole ton of information of every single component within the car. So in order to interface with it, you gotta turn it on. Responding. Let's try it again. Let me make sure that it's plugged in. Alright, maybe I need to turn Bluetooth on the computer.
One eternity later.
Alright, so I was able to get it to connect. Took me a couple tries, but I got it. So basically, this is pretty neat because you're able to look at all the different modules and if you've thrown any codes. And while I was working on this, it did throw a air suspension because I forgot to put the air suspension into jack mode. So if I go into the settings down here, you'll see that in suspension there's tire and jack mode. When I had it lifted up in the air with the tires off the ground and then turned it on, the car wants to auto level and it checks the wheels in relation to the ground and on each other, and it tries to level itself. But if they're not on the ground and not putting resistance, then the whole thing gets wonky and then it starts to throw codes and stuff. So you always want to make sure that you put it tire jack mode checked off when you do any type of lifting the car up off of the wheels. So make sure that you've got that enabled. You go to DTCs, and then you can see that I've got a couple that have been thrown. I do have modified links, so I do normally carry some of these codes, but I'm just gonna go ahead and clear. But what's pretty sweet is that it does tell you if there's anything that's gone wrong with the system, it'll store it. Looks like the motor was getting too hot, so it threw that code. Unable to obtain desired ride height. Well, I have the links in there, so that's thrown that off. And then I'm not sure what the ride height system manually switch off. I'm not sure what that is, but either way, I'm just gonna clear it. Now mind you that these don't register on the check engine light. These are all stuff that happen behind the check engine light, stuff that a normal scan tool doesn't grab. So I've got the OBD MX Plus or whatever. It's a slightly older version, so it doesn't work on iPhone, but it works on Android and Windows. So I'm gonna take a look to see what the body controller has.
2,000 years later.
Front right fog lamp control short circuit, battery open, and that's active. Front right fog light lamp. Well, I have HIDs in my fog lights, so wonder if that was just from turning it on, turning it off, and it couldn't really register correctly. So I'm just gonna clear that. And let's see, do I have anything else? Forward facing camera module. I don't have a forward facing camera. Unless that happens to be my, maybe that's my, the dimming, the headlight high beam auto dim. In my area, I live right under a bridge, or right by a bridge that goes under the highway, and it's very congested at rush hour. So in order to get all the lights from either side of the highway, they need to set up these communication devices, probably like radio frequency or something. Well, ever since they installed those things, I've noticed that it tends to trip out my adaptive cruise control and my auto dimming high beams. So I think that's just something to do with that. Maybe the frequency, or well, maybe it wouldn't be frequency. How would that be? Maybe infrared. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. It's doing something, and it kind of plays with the system a little bit. Let's see. I don't think I have anything else. Nothing stored or active. So so I think I'm good. I'm just gonna clear this all out, and at this point I think I'm all set. So there you have it. That is how you go about changing the fluid on a ZF 8HP70 on a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. While it wasn't the most fun, probably saved myself a couple $100 doing it myself. It took me quite a while because a lot of it was discovery as I went. So hopefully this is something that will help you guys along the process should you want to do it yourself. I did have a thought, and I'm going to throw a picture up. I think that there's a bypass valve on this transmission. I learned about it from the Weber Auto University channel. I'll throw a link in the description, but I watched that video, which gave me a lot of good guidance as to what needs to be done. And the instructor in that video was saying that there's a bypass valve that could potentially alter the filling process of this transmission. So I think that's actually why I didn't end up using all of the fluid. As you can see, there's probably 3 quarts there, and I only got 5 quarts in where it said that it needed a lot more than that. So it's probably right now a mixture of some old oil and some new oil, but I'm pretty happy with getting the job done so far. I did take it up for a quick little ride. Everything seemed to be fine. It rode fine, it shifted fine, it accelerated fine. I mean, I wasn't really having any big issues in particular to begin with, but it's mainly, you know, just the recommended time or mileage, because they say that the fluid that comes with it is lifetime fluid, but nothing is lifetime. So I think the definition of lifetime is probably as long as what you'd expect an owner to own the vehicle for. So I mean, how many miles do people typically put on their car before they get rid of it? Hits 100,000 miles, they're like, maybe I'll get rid of it. But I'm the second owner, I think, of this one, and I bought it with 50,000 miles, 52, and it's got 105 on it now. So, you know, you figure 100,000 miles on the original transmission fluid, it's probably time to get that switched out. Doing some research, you can find that the company ZF, who makes the transmission, says that the fluid is good for anywhere to between 80 to 100,000 miles. And I imagine, based on your driving habits, that changes as you know how long the fluid will last. I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit on the aggressive side when I drive. You know, I don't want to just be like, well, look at me, I got SRT replica wheels, you know, and it's lowered, so I'm one of those race car dudes. But I am. I mean, I used to have a bunch of turbo WRXs. I like going quick. I like accelerating. It's exhilarating. So, you know, I'm pretty hard on the transmission. And that could also be why I blew up my rear diff and had to replace that. So it's probably recommended, or that's probably why they recommend 80 to 100,000 miles when you do your transmission or to change it out. So anyways, I'm blabbing. Got it all done. I think it's running good. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. You know, give me a thumbs up in the description. Not the description. All right. I hope this was helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. I hope to have more how to do whatever videos later on as things go. Like I said, my transmission mount looks like it needs to be replaced. So I'll probably do a quick little video on that, and that will happen later on. So, all right, well, thanks, and see you around.